Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, available on all podcast platforms and YouTube. All right, we got a lot to cover, and even on a holiday weekend, there's huge news with Trump. And it looks like Bill and Hillary Clinton are in a complete state of panic over President Trump. And we're going to get into this. And I got a lot of other topics we're going to cover too, because some big things have broken in the news just today. Can you imagine on a Saturday, there's big news dropping? Believe it or not, big news dropping on Saturday. And we're going to cover it all right here. So first, though, I want to talk about the Clintons. Because, and we'll get into the details of what's going on. I'll go through the story and everything. But the Clintons are dirty. I mean, they're just dirty. They are organized crime way back to the days when before really, he was even governor of Arkansas. He was the Attorney General of Arkansas. That's when he had his event with Juanita Broderick. He was in, so the Clintons have been doing crime their entire life, and they're in a panic right now. And they're not in a panic necessarily for the things that you and I know that they've done, because the Clintons know everything they've done. And a lot of the things they've done that we don't know about are far worse than anything we know about, because everything about the Clintons has been doing crime. And this has been reported on Fox, in the New York Post, and elsewhere. President Clinton was seen leaving an airport with a defibrillator. Now, who travels with a defibrillator? I've never heard of such a thing. Have any of you heard of anyone traveling with a defibrillator? Usually if someone is at the stage of health that they need to travel with a defibrillator and they fly, they're usually flying somewhere for some special operation or some special treatment. And when you see them at the airport, they're in a stretcher, but not the Clintons. This is Fox News. President Bill Clinton is facing questions about his health after he was spotted in the Hamptons with what appeared to be a portable defibrillator. Photographs show someone accompanying the 79-year-old Democrat. Look at the difference between 79-year-old Bill Clinton and 79-year-old President Trump. What a difference, huh? Trump's like a 50-year-old. Photographs show someone accompanying the 79-year-old Democrat and his wife, Hillary, carrying what appeared to be a medical device. The New York Post reported that it resembled a Propag MD Air medical bag. Very strange. The sighting comes just 2 months after Clinton was spotted stumbling on a New York City sidewalk outside the 92NY, a cultural center in New York. The former president was attending an event for his book, First Gentleman. Well, that never happened, did it? I guess they got the title and trademarked it or copyright, whatever you do with titles, and they said, well, it's so good we got to use it. Because he thought Hillary was going to be president. You know what though? I bet you Bill Clinton didn't vote for Hillary anytime she ran for president. I think what do you think? Do you think Bill Clinton voted for Hillary in the primary against Obama, or when she ran against Trump? I bet you he voted for Obama and Trump. Do you think President Clinton wants to have her as a president? And then she'd be like higher ranking than him, because if she were to win, she'd be the president. He'd be a former president. She'd be the boss. Do you really think Bill Clinton wanted Hillary to be president? I don't think so. I really don't. Nope. And she's got to be so angry at him for all the BS that he's put her through, their entire marriage, that if she were to become president, however rough she makes his life now, she would be intolerable for him. Anyway, let me get back to where I was. The former president was attending an event for his book, First Gentleman, a political thriller he co-authored with James Patterson, according to the New York Post. Clinton's health challenges have been public for more than 2 decades, dating back to his post-White House years. In 2004, he underwent quadruple bypass surgery. At the time, ABC News reported that doctors said Clinton narrowly avoided a major heart attack and had nearly 100% blockage in some of the arteries where he underwent surgery. Following the surgery, President Clinton gave an exclusive interview, blah, blah, blah. It goes on about all of his health, more about his health. Okay, this is what is going on here, okay, with this total BS of traveling around. Because you see him walking on the tarmac at the airport. This guy has no health issues, okay? I know he looks like Skeletor and he's skinny as a rail, but why do you think he's going around with a medical bag and a defibrillator? Why do you think? It's pretty obvious, right? It's all these subpoenas that have been going around. And the Clintons are completely out of power now. They're so far removed from the presidency, they have no juice. And they know every crime they've ever committed. They're in a panic. And what President Clinton is doing is setting the stage that he is medically unable to show up for depositions or to testify or to be questioned, and that he can't even handle the stress of such a thing. You know, it's kind of like was it in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a mob boss, a big mob boss, godfather in New York, and he was facing federal indictment. Do you remember this guy? I cannot remember his name. If anybody remembers, let me know. And what this guy was doing, because he was facing federal indictment, he started walking around the streets of New York in his pajamas in a robe, pretending he had Alzheimer's, trying to, that he wasn't mentally capable of being arrested, charged, or facing trial. And he did not get away with it, by the way. They didn't, because everybody knew he was faking it. It was on the front page of the New York Post every day for a while. It was comical. And that's what Bill Clinton is doing, which tells me they are in a panic, in a complete panic. They're so far removed from power now, they don't have nobody even cares to stick their neck out to protect them, because these lawfare people that had been working so hard against President Trump, they got to worry about themselves. They don't have time to go out here. So I have never seen anyone travel around with a defibrillator. You guys let me know what you think about my theory on that, which I think is a pretty solid one. I mean, why else would President Clinton be doing that? Okay, now, we've got these unelected judges that think that the president of the United States answers to them, right? We've been seeing this throughout Trump's entire second term here so far, right? We're 7 months in, and judges keep going after him. And I have no recollection of judges interfering with other presidents in their day-to-day actions as the commander-in-chief. I don't remember ever seeing that before. And I'm pretty confident this is the first time, because if it was the norm, what we would be hearing all the time is, well, what this federal judge did and this federal judge's order about that, there's precedent for this, because so many times when President Obama gave an order, judges came in, or President Bush, and you're not hearing any of that because this is a first-time thing. And what we have, this is, there's this thing with liberal judges on the federal benches, Supreme Court, regular federal judges. People always are talking about legislating from the bench, judicial activism, and all of that stuff. This is not legislating from the bench, which is illegal. This isn't judicial activism, which is illegal. This is a judicial coup that's going on. And they don't have to communicate and meet anywhere. They could just, with a wink and a nod, know what they're supposed to do. Stop Trump. Give orders stopping Trump. And there's a judicial coup going on. In fact, I think it's more accurate to call it a judicial insurrection, because what these federal judges are doing is what? Interrupting government business, right? They're interrupting government business. And what we know from January 6th coverage and remembrances that go on forever from the mainstream fake news legacy media, the Jake Tappers and Rachel Maddow and all those jerks, what do they tell us? If you interfere with government business, you are what? You're an insurrectionist. So this is not judicial activism. It's not legislating from the bench. This is a judicial coup from the federal liberal judiciary. And it's also from these federal benches. It's also a federal judge judicial insurrection against the executive branch of the United States government. Does everyone agree with? I mean, I don't see how you could not agree with that. It seems quite obvious that that is what is going on here. Yeah, exactly. So there have been a couple rulings in particular, and there was one the other day that I just got a big update on just a few minutes ago, right before I went live. Okay, I mean, this was just a couple. If I would have seen this earlier today on YouTube, the thumbnail of the YouTube video would have been this. Maybe I may have switched it to this. This one's unbelievable. Okay, now one of these corrupt judicial insurrectionists gave a ruling the other day that blocked Trump's deportations of the illegal invaders into our country, right? You saw this? Well, look at this. Gateway Pundit. Conflict of interest exposed. Corrupt judge Cobb, who blocked Trump's mass deportations and now oversees Federal Reserve mortgage fraudster Lisa Cook, right? You know, Lisa Cook, who she's the woman on the federal board that's involved in some mortgage scam allegations like Letitia and Adam Schiff, right? So the judge that ordered Trump to stop the deportations is overseeing her case. But that's not the big reveal. Listen to this. The judge is Lisa Cook, the mortgage fraudster from the Fed. They're sorority sisters. Can you freaking believe this? They're sorority sisters. I mean, this judge should be removed from the federal bench and maybe even prosecuted with some crimes. First off, how can you oversee any criminal case with a sorority sister? Is that possible? Right? And do you think there's any connection between Trump firing this mortgage fraud allegation Lisa Cook from the Fed and her sorority sister who's overseeing her case and ordering a stop to the mass deportations? Holy smokes. I mean, and one of remember the presidential debate on ABC News with David Muir, and he had a co-moderator who was an ABC anchorette. It was the debate between Willie Brown's girlfriend, Kamala Harris, and President Trump. She was a sorority sister of Kamala Harris, and she was moderating the debate. That should not have been allowed. First of all, they have a kinship through being in the sorority. But if she would have asked one difficult question of Kamala Harris, she would have been done with her sorority for the rest of her life. Okay? So look at this. Corrupt judge Cobb, who blocked Trump's mass deportations and now oversees Federal Reserve mortgage fraudster Lisa Cook's case, is Lisa Cook's sorority sister. Oh, my goodness. On Friday morning, embattled federal. This is in the Gateway Pundit, and all these stories that I share on the program, I do post to my X. So if you follow me on X, Brian Craig Show, you can get the whole stories and read the whole thing. This is in the Gateway Pundit today. On Friday morning, embattled Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, recently fired by President Trump over allegations of fraud and misconduct, appeared in federal court to challenge her dismissal. The case was heard by none other than Judge Cobb, a radical Biden-appointed judge, already notorious for shamelessly blocking Trump's lawful mass deportation orders, right? It can be recalled that Judge Cobb called President Trump's expedited removal of illegal aliens from the interior of the U.S. a skimpy process, whatever that means. I'm not sure what she means by that. The procedures the government currently uses in expedited removal, however, create a significant risk of blah, 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 blah. She's out there trying to keep the invaders in the country. The Gateway Pundit reported on Friday morning that Judge Cobb wasted no time holding an emergency hearing that dragged on for 2 hours. Attorney for Lisa Cook, that's the mortgage fraudster one on the Fed, and the Department of Justice clashed as they desperately tried to salvage her cushy position on the Federal Reserve Board. Cook's high-powered lawyer Abe Lowell is the same guy who's been defending Hunter Biden and his scandals, went full attack mode on President Trump, whining that the commander-in-chief makes his orders and policies via tweets. No, Twitter doesn't exist anymore, and he posts on Truth. But regardless, during the hearing, Lisa Cook's sorority sister, Judge Cobb, openly cast doubt on Trump's executive order firing Cook. But she stopped short of issuing a ruling. The court resumes on Tuesday after Labor Day. Lisa Cook, fired by Trump this week for alleged mortgage and financial misconduct, is suing to keep her Federal Reserve seat. The lawsuit should have been randomly assigned, but in a shocking twist of fate, no doubt, the case landed before her sorority sister, Judge Cobb, and it's Delta Sigma Theta. Is that another one of the black sororities? Is Delta Sigma Theta a black? Why are there racially segregated sororities? I mean, I understood why they had them like in the 40s and stuff, right? Even in the 60s. But do you think like 60 years after the Civil Rights Act and all that stuff was passed that we still should be having segregated organizations at our institutions of higher learning? Because I was on now again, I may be wrong about this, but I was under the impression that segregation was what Martin Luther King and others fought against. And I also was under the impression that segregation was illegal. Yeah, my wife just texted me. She says it's a black sorority. Yeah, my wife's a sorority girl. So she's all into that stuff. I don't know anything about sororities or fraternities or stuff. But yeah, so isn't segregation illegal? Is it not? Because I thought it was. So I'm a little confused here. So why do these segregated organizations exist? And is it a violation of the Civil Rights Act? Is it a violation of U.S. law to have segregated organizations on these college campuses that receive federal funds? Does anyone know the answer? I'm not a lawyer, but I think it's illegal, right? I mean, would you be a part of a segregated organization of any kind? I would not. I would not. Oh, my goodness. But the very fact that they're sorority sisters, she should recuse herself from the whole case. I mean, there's no getting around it. She should recuse herself now. And Roger Stone, of course, pointed it out. And there's a lot of articles. Yeah, so they got, yeah, that's right. Let's see here. Judge Gia Cobb confirmed in her official Senate Judiciary Committee questionnaire that she is a member of Delta Sigma Theta. In her honors and awards section on her application, she listed Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., National Collegiate Member of the Year 2002. In her membership section, she further disclosed Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, a member from 2002. She is currently an active member. She celebrated openly Lisa Cook's confirmation in 2022, calling it a historic moment and bragging about her role in shaping American monetary policy. So they're sorority sisters, and what very well may be an illegal sorority because it's a racially segregated one. She openly celebrated the historic nature of her sorority sister's appointment to the Fed board. So if she thinks it's historic and they're sorority sisters, how could she be overseeing this case? On May 22nd, Delta Sigma Theta congratulated Cook on social media and tied her legacy to the sorority's century-long political influence. Wow, this must be a really, I don't know too much about this, but this must be a very politically connected sorority. You know, they probably have some other powerful, connected African-American members. Yeah, they got Delta Sigma Theta sorority thanking Lisa Cook. She's so I mean, I got to tell you, the corruption and the incestuous nature of everything in media and in government and in judicial, it's mind-boggling, isn't it? We've known about the swamp, of course. We've known about the swamp. But did we know how swampy it was? Oh, my goodness. If you're watching live on YouTube, you're welcome to call in. The number is pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. If you're new, make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to the program on. I'm Brian. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Have you ever tried to walk in someone else's shoes? Author Ellie Gregg did. Literally. At the foot of New Zealand's Franz Josef Glacier, Ellie slipped on a pair of borrowed boots and stepped into the unfinished journey of a young man named Keller. Don't forget your travel guide, Part 1, Bootstrapping, available on Amazon, isn't just a travel memoir. It's a soulful collection of over 100 one-page reflections, blending poetry, philosophy, questions, and quest, all designed to inspire you to see the world and yourself differently. As author Ellie Gregg walks through grief and across continents, Keller becomes more than a memory. He becomes a guide, and with every step, the author invites you to pause, reflect, and embrace the grace even in the coldest places. This book is not about destinations, it's about transformation. If you're searching for meaning, healing, or just a new perspective, this is the journey you've been searching for. Order your copy of Don't Forget Your Travel Guide Part 1, Bootstrapping, from author Ellie Gregg, on Amazon in Kindle and paperback, because sometimes the best way forward is to walk in someone else's shoes. Order your copy right now.
On the line, we have Bruce. Bruce is a client of Jupiter Joe Thomas. He heard me talking with Joe Thomas about annuities and what a great deal they are, and he went in with his wife, and now he's a client. Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Brian.
So tell me about your experience with Jupiter Joe Thomas.
A fine gentleman. We sat down with Joe, and we explained everything to him, and we brought all our information, and he worked everything out great.
The cool thing about annuities is your money's never at risk. You're guaranteed a revenue stream for the rest of your life, but there's a bonus, really a signing bonus, where you can make a boatload of money before you even leave Joe Thomas's office. Can you talk a little bit about that, Bruce?
Well, that's where I was surprised when we sat down. We talked about the bonuses, and to my amazement, it was 10%, and there was even another one that's bigger.
Wow, that's amazing. So you made 10% on your money before you even got back in your car.
Yeah, it was more than that, but it was great.
Listen, guys, do what Bruce did. Give Jupiter Joe Thomas a call. You can set up a free consultation either on the phone or in the office, and Joe Thomas will put together a custom proposal just for you. His number is 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999, and online at jupiterjoe.com. All right, Bruce, thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Brian.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. Thanks for joining me, everyone. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, please do. The number is pinned in the live chat, and if you're listening on one of the podcast platforms other than YouTube, right, The Brian Craig Show is on all podcast platforms. Just search for The Brian Craig Show. But if you want to call in live and catch this show live, follow me on YouTube, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. You can catch the show live and call in. And those of you on hold, hang in there. So we got Lisa Cook, who is involved in the judicial insurrection. She's overseeing Lisa Cook's case, the mortgage fraud allegation case, and Lisa Cook is her sorority sister. That seems like all kinds of crimes. And then look at this, Letitia James. This is also in the Gateway Pundit. All these stories are posted to my Twitter. Letitia James caught harboring a fugitive? What? Yeah, the Attorney General of the state of New York. Yeah, so I'm talking. Listen to this story. These stories are insane, and I know. It seems like they try to do like a Labor Day weekend dump of scandal that nobody will notice. The days of the Friday and holiday news dump days are over. Listen to this. Her name is Nika. Okay, listen to this. The North Carolina, I just can't believe this. This is nuts. Governor Hochul, where is she? The North Carolina Department of Adult Correction is actively searching for, is it Nikia, Nikia? Nikia Monique Thompson, the fugitive daughter of New York Attorney General Letitia James' niece. Oh my gosh. Thompson is listed as an absconder. They even have an offender number for her on the department's official website. She's wanted for violating probation terms. North Carolina authorities are urging anyone with knowledge of her whereabouts to call their tip line. Where is Nikio Monique Thompson hiding? All indications, including from Letitia James herself, are that she's hiding out at Letitia's mortgage fraud home in Norfolk, Virginia. Are you freaking kidding me? Have any of you seen this on Fox News? This means that Letitia James herself, the Attorney General of New York, with all her lawfare and all this stuff, could be charged with harboring a fugitive. And because it involves interstate flight, Letitia could be subject to federal harboring, which carries up to 5 years in prison. Oh my goodness. This is, we're like in Bizarro world. You know, if you were trying to make stuff up, like if you were writing like a novel, right, you wouldn't be able to make up this stuff. It's too out there. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once.
Oh, Brian, it's Dimitri again.
Dimitri, yes.
Yes, hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? Yes, it's Dimitri. Yes, we spoke yesterday.
Yeah, I remember you. You are a Russian immigrant who's a mechanic in New Mexico.
Brian,
yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
That's correct, yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, yes.
Yeah, hold on, Dimitri. Let me answer all these phones that are coming in. Yeah, go ahead, Dimitri.
Said that he was upset. I'm sorry.
Go ahead,
yes,
Dimitri.
I heard about another caller who suggested that they were upset with the fact that we brought up Trump 2028.
Yes.
That they were insinuating that you had a big problem and everything like that. I want to make it clear that I'm not a supporter of dictatorship at all. And
well, you're not. You know, I got a call. Okay, you called. Yeah, hold on. You called in on. Hold on, Dimitri. You called in on the show Friday. I think. Did you call in Friday, Thursday, or Friday? What day? Do you remember? It was Thursday or Friday. And I got a call later in the show, and some guy said, "What are you doing talking to a?" He said, "What are you doing talking to a Russian?" So are you a U.S. citizen yet? Are you a citizen?
Ridiculous.
Are you a Russian or an American citizen?
I'm a hardworking American man, and I am a U.S. citizen
he's an American.
now. Yes.
Yes, you're an American citizen. That's
I'm
right.
an American citizen.
So I'm not talking to a Russian. I'm talking to an American.
Yes.
All right, go ahead, Dimitri.
Yes, I'm talking to both, but I'm an American.
Of Russian descent, yes. Russian origin.
I became American.
Yes.
I went through the process that was necessary.
Yes.
To become an American. So I find it to be ridiculous that some people would accuse me or you of being advocates for dictatorship.
Yeah, no one's an advocate. Listen, Dimitri, I got a lot to cover, but I appreciate the call. I appreciate the call, but you're a little off topic today, Dimitri. Oh my goodness! And if I got a Russian guy as a chronic caller, that's not doing me any favors, because I don't need every call to say I do not support the dictator. Okay. The more you say you don't support the dictator, the more it sounds like you might support the dictator. Oh my goodness! Oh boy! I'm not even sure Dimitri's real. I don't know. I don't care. Who do I know who calls me? If you're on hold, hang in there. I got a lot of stuff to cover, and I want to get into it. But in all seriousness, these stories that I started with today, right? The one with the sorority sister of Lisa Cook, and this story of Letitia James. If the media in this country were at all credible, if the media in this country truly wanted to report the news and break news stories, either one of those stories is a nationwide scandal that if it was a Republican, the entire country would stop and follow what was happening. And this, where this judge in the one case in particular has no business overseeing that case, none whatsoever. It just should, and the fact that the sorority sisters, the fact that she said publicly that Lisa Cook is a historical figure getting appointed to the Fed, and she refuses to recuse. She hasn't recused herself. That is a scandal that if it was a Republican and all things were reversed, it's almost like having, I don't know if President Trump was in a fraternity. I don't remember ever hearing anything about that. But if he was in front of a federal judge and that judge was a judge that openly supported his presidency and was a contestant on The Celebrity Apprentice, okay? Or something, I don't know, some big connection like that. Do you think it'd make the news? Okay. And then the second story with Letitia James' niece, she's harboring her, helped her cross state lines at the home in North Carolina where she's being accused and investigated for mortgage fraud on. That's another story where, the way that the media would handle this, if they were Republicans, the national media would be in North Carolina as close to that house as they could get, and they'd have a steady pool camera on it waiting for her to come out. And then there would be a split screen, and that would be at Letitia's front door waiting for Letitia James to come out, and then they would bark questions. But Democrats, when it comes to the media, have complete immunity from being questioned about anything. And it's always been that way. It still stays that way. So what we can do to combat it is expose it, and hopefully Pam Bondi is aware of both of these instances. In particular, Letitia James's niece that's on the run, because that's something that the Justice Department could most definitely get into. First off, whatever crime she skipped on, the niece, it's now gone federal because she's crossed state lines. Okay, and if these were Republicans, not only would they be at the house where the girls hold up in North Carolina, not only would they be at Letitia's, they would also be following around the governor of New York, wanting to know why the governor of New York is not intervening and removing this corrupt criminal attorney general of the state who is believed to be harboring a fugitive from justice and help them cross state lines. But because they're Democrats, it's not even in the news, and they're going to bury it over a holiday weekend. Unless other people, unless the new media, the conservative media, jump on all of these stories. And they're all important stories. Now, I know, didn't I not tell you there's a lot of big stuff that dropped just today? I mean, this is crazy. When Trump's not in the White House, unless there's a Trump rally, there's not a lot of news happening. But now there is. So, this is absolutely amazing. I got this from Sean Spicer's show. Listen to this. It's about Obama and General Flynn, and he's got Solomon on from Just the News, who's been breaking all this stuff coming out of the Justice Department in the last month or so.
This isn't just a pattern. I mean, anyone who's watched Law and Order is going, this seems like this guy was setting the guy up.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's no better evidence of that than the January 5th, 2017 meeting with Barack Obama and James Comey, and I think Sally Yates and others are in that meeting, if I remember correctly. And the FBI just the day before, had decided to close down its investigation of Mike Flynn. They found no evidence of wrongdoing. There was no further reason. They wanted to create a closed memo, and then Pete Strzok says, hold off, don't do that yet. And they have a meeting at the White House. And what is that? Oh, Joe Biden's in that meeting too. What are they talking about? How can we maybe keep this investigation going? Maybe we look at the Logan Act. Maybe we lure him into an interview.
They're talking about General Flynn here.
And one of the top FBI agents in that room, the assistant director for counterintelligence for the FBI at the time, Bill Priestap, comes out of that meeting and writes, I think, one of the most damning, most extraordinary notes in all of the scandal annals of history in Washington. And that is, what was our goal today? Was it to find the truth or to try to lure an innocent man into lying so we could charge him with something?
We're talking about, the perjury trap with General Flynn. And I think Pence was a part of that with Obama.
He walked away with a meeting from the president and his top team thinking, I just witnessed an effort to set up a innocent man. And he writes that into his notes. Those notes are now, I think, when you look at the pattern, perhaps the summary of what was really going on, making innocent people go through a process to make them look like they were guilty for political gain. And I think that is probably what we're going to see. It's the reverse of Watergate. Watergate was Nixon ordered a break-in, tried to cover it up, or at least there was a break-in, he tried to cover it up. In here, there's no crime, but they want to make it look like Donald Trump and his team are full of crimes. And that is a very, very troubling change in the way our government has worked over the years.
Okay, now see, this part of the coup conspiracy against President Trump with General Flynn, this is the part that could have everything fall apart. Because if you remember, okay, he's talking about John Solomon here, who's the Woodward and Bernstein of everything that's going on now, because the Trump administration is leaking all of their information before anyone else to John Solomon, and all of his reporting on this has been 100% accurate. So this big coup conspiracy meeting that Obama led while he was still president and Donald Trump was president-elect the first time, and they started talking about how they can jam up President Trump. General Flynn's the one that's really flipped them out. Obama did not like General Flynn. He stood up to, he criticized Obama, and that was it. And they got him in a perjury trap. But if you remember, President Trump fired General Flynn. Do you remember why he fired him? Pence said he lied to him. And I remember seeing President Trump. I only heard President Trump say this once. He may have said it many times, but I only heard him say it once. And President Trump said he had to go. He lied to the vice president. And at the time, we didn't know what kind of person Mike Pence was. Now we know, right? But we didn't know then. And Trump didn't know yet either at that time, right? So, exactly. So Mike Pence was working with the Obama coup conspirators. I have no doubt about it. I think that Mike Pence was the leak of everything. He was in every meeting in the first term. I think Mike Pence was the leak of everything that came out. And Obama hated General Flynn so much and wanted him out so bad that they risked Mike Pence blowing his cover to get involved in a lying trap with General Flynn to force the president to fire him. I believe that with my heart. And and you got to wonder, the one that I want under oath and questioned, I want them all questioned. But the one that I think would be most surprising would be Pence. I never liked Pence. And I used to talk about this before he blew his cover. I would talk a lot on the podcast here, and some people would get upset with me about this. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll get to some calls in a bit. And if you want to call in, you're welcome. The number is pinned in the live chat. But I got a lot of stories to cover. And I want to watch the Florida State game with my wife and daughter and stuff today. So I can't go too long today. But I want to see Mike Pence under oath. And what I said about Mike Pence, and questioned by the right people, what I said about Mike Pence before we knew what a bad guy was, I said, I don't trust Mike Pence because he's one of those guys you don't see his real personality. He's too polished and fake, and I don't trust people who I can't see what they're really like. Do you understand what I mean by that? And that's how Mike Pence was. And now that he blew his cover and we know what he's really about these last few years, when you see him, he's really a condescending, nasty person, isn't he? I can't stand the guy. I never could stand him. I never did like him. But things have gotten a lot worse with him over the years. Again, if you're on hold, stand by. My name's Brian. This is the Brian Craig Show podcast. We're going to take a quick break, and I got more to cover, and also we'll take some more calls at 1-888-465-2631. We'll be right back.
Every band has the same cast of characters, and they're all a disaster just waiting to happen. From author P.K. Kovich comes the brutally funny survival guide to band life, where egos clash, gear fails, and every gig teeters on the edge of collapse. Fading Rockstar Syndrome, Surviving Egos, Chaos, and Bad Decisions. Available on Amazon. Fading Rockstar Syndrome isn't a roast of failure. It's louder, messier, and way more relatable than you'd like to admit. It's perfect for musicians, former musicians, or anyone stuck living with one. In Fading Rockstar Syndrome, there's the bassist that no one hears, the drummer who swears it's his solo project, the guitarist chasing a tone like it owes him money, the singer who's drowning in reverb. Yeah, always more reverb, right? And yes, the sound guy who somehow makes it into every chapter. And don't forget that roadie too busy chatting up the merch girl to carry an amp. And that's just the beginning. Author P.K. Kovich has seen it all, and he's giving you a backstage pass with Fading Rockstar Syndrome, available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now.
Hear ye, hear ye. Tom Laporta here from Laporta Roofing. Floridians, take note. Ron DeSantis and the state of Florida have allocated $280 million for the 25-26 fiscal year to fund new grants under My Safe Florida Home program. This grant is up to $10,000 when you spend $15,000 or more on your project. This may include roofing and wind mitigation systems. Go online at mysafefloridahome.com and get approved before the money is gone. If you need help, please call me, Tom Laporta, 954-604-4602, or find us at laportaroofing.com. It's simple. When you spend $1, the state matches $2 up to $10,000. They send you a check. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it is. So again, call us at 954-604-4602 or find us at laportaroofing.com.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. Thanks for joining. Make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. I want to talk about Dr. Appleton, who's going to help you say bye-bye to whatever pain you're suffering from with his laser away pain treatment. Dr. Appleton has rid me of pain 7 times. Sometimes from injuries, once a car accident, arthritis. It works. I've met so many listeners who are living pain-free thanks to Dr. Appleton. And it's really amazing. And you know, people tell me I couldn't move my neck. I couldn't walk. I just couldn't. I was in so much pain. I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. Now I'm out and about. Living with pain is not a part of growing old, and you don't have to take a bunch of medications and become a junkie. Okay, the laser away pain treatment. There are no drugs, no shots, no injections, no surgery, no downtime. It's 100% painless. You don't even feel the laser treatment when Dr. Appleton is performing it. And my favorite part is it works. Yeah. And those of you that live out of town and around the country, we have had listeners travel from all over the state of Florida and from all corners of the United States just to see Dr. Appleton. He is that good, I'm here to tell you. Remember, appointments are not necessary and walk-ins are welcome. If you have scans or x-rays, bring them with you. He'll be glad to look at them. Give him a call, 954-973-0710, 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. Okay, so we've got some redistricting news going on. And, of course, Governor Abbott in Texas signed the new map in Texas for the redistricting. And Jasmine Crockett is now a congresswoman without a district. And we picked up 5 Republican seats. And, you know, this is such an important point to understand. Do not let anyone convince you that the Republicans are gerrymandering. The Republicans are not gerrymandering anything. What the Republicans are doing is correcting the gerrymandering that was done by the Democrats. What Gavin Newsom is talking about doing in California redistricting, that's gerrymandering. Republicans are correcting it. Now, Benny Johnson's reporting, listen to this. Florida Republicans, we're going to redistrict and draw a new map here in Florida. Florida Republicans plan on adding 4 new Republican congressional seats. High-level sources with Florida state government tell Benny Johnson that the legislature is moving forward with 2026 midterm redistricting. The current plan will redraw 4 new congressional seats, specifically targeting key population centers around Orlando, Tampa, and surrounding Miami districts. The strategy, combined with the 4 to 5 new House seats that Florida will gain in the next census, will make Florida a Republican electoral juggernaut. And then the Democrats, they're just done. Yeah. You know, they have the Democrat and the old Republicans went along with this, okay? They didn't do much to stop them. But, you know, some of these districts have very weird shapes, and they do this to, and they've been counting illegals, right, for congressional districts. And Democrats are overrepresented in pretty much every state, California and New York too. Democrats are overrepresented in Congress. There's no doubt about it. This is a very conservative country. It's a MAGA nation. I mean, look, when Roe v. Wade being overturned is very controversial. There was no public outcry nationwide. The deportations, there's been no nationwide movement against the deportations that President Trump. Now, there's been incidents, but those incidents have been with foreign nationals, like in the battle for Los Angeles a few weeks back, right? A couple months ago. But you've seen these big moves that President Trump and the Republicans have made, and there's been no public outcry or demonstrations. Now, some of that is they don't have U.S. AID to fund fake demonstrations and things anymore. That's a big part of it, no doubt. But it's because the country is conservative. But yet we always have this slim majority in the Congress. And the reason there's a slim majority is because the Democrats have been gerrymandering the districts since the beginning of time. And this is amazing. And it's also historic because, you know, President Trump is such a great leader of the Republican Party. We have Republicans that stand up for what's right now. The Republicans of yesteryear, you know, the Newt Gingrich era and before, they never would have done what's going on now. And, you know, what they did with the redistricting, I mean, if this was done, if Trump had not become president ever or again, right? And you look at this redistricting that happened in Texas. Yeah, it got media coverage and the Democrats went to Illinois and all that stuff. But the governor signed it into law and the Democrats lost 5 seats. Republicans gained 5 in Texas. And Jasmine Crockett, who's the most vocal African-American female member of Congress, no longer has a district. And there's been next to no media outcry or national protest rage about it either, has there been? No. Because Democrats are a tiny little minority that are overrepresented in Congress, overrepresented in media, and in everything else in our society. And when Florida does the same, see what happens? We're getting a domino effect. Texas did it. They stood up to the Democrats. They redistricted. You know, Jasmine Crockett she's more famous than AOC now. And no one cares that she no longer has a district. That's amazing. And I'm looking forward to Florida doing it because, you know, I'll tell you how bad it is. I live in a really Republican town, but my congressman's a Democrat because the Democrats have gerrymandered the districts so bizarre. Everyone around here is a Republican. Local mayor's a Republican. Yet we have a Democrat congressman. It makes no sense because they've gerrymandered. And that's going to be corrected. And I'm looking forward to Florida doing that. And look at this. This is the governor of Missouri has gotten involved. This is CNN.
Breaking just this afternoon, Missouri's Republican governor is now calling for a special session on redistricting. This follows Texas and the retaliation vote in California. Are we going to see? I think they're talking about maybe trying to put together one additional Republican seat in Missouri. They're talking about maybe doing it in Indiana too. Is this just going to be what's going on until
Indiana?
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, this goes to show you that Newsom's plan to sort of retaliate against Republicans in Texas has backfired. Because in the end, what he's done is he's motivated other Republican legislatures who also have governorships to do something. And we've done the math. By the time this exchange is done, we probably pick up anywhere between 7 to 9 seats, including what we lose in California. That's just another example of how.
And he's just talking about? Is he just talking about Missouri? I think he's just talking about Missouri. How many House members are from Missouri? Is Missouri that highly populated?
Gavin Newsom, everything he touches ultimately leads in failure.
breaking this afternoon, just this afternoon.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's it. Or is that nationwide? It's going to be more because we got 5 already in Texas. We're going to get 4 or 5 in Florida, so that's 9 or 10 right there. So, no, I mean, we're going to gain like 20 or 30 seats, as we should, and maybe even more when it's done. And that's on top of all this great work that President Trump is doing that's going to get Republicans reelected anyway. Now, if you'd like to support my channel and my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link to my Patreon page in the description of the episode on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to commercial-free editions of every podcast episode, exclusive only to Patreon supporters, as well as a lot of other exclusive content. If you become a top Patreon supporter, you get your name up on the screen on YouTube, and you get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are my top Patreon supporters. I want to thank them all. SFjr, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Nick, Wesley, Doris, Heather, David, Maria in Texas, Alice, LeeZep, Shawna, George, Brandon, John, Frank, Dale, Tina, David, Laura, Rob, Wes, Sue, and Janice. Janice, our newest top Patreon supporter. Thank you all. And there's a link in the description of the episode on all the platforms to my Patreon page. So you can just go there. You can see that. And if you just want to go directly, it's patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/Real Brian Craig Show. Okay, so a lot has been made. Joni Ernst, okay, here we go. Joni Ernst is not running for re-election. A lot has been made about this. And they're trying to act as if she's doing the right thing because of whatever, there really hasn't been a lot of reasoning given. But I would suggest that she's not running for re-election because she doesn't think she can win, okay? People don't leave these jobs in the Senate unless there's a reason, a scandal, or they're going to lose, and they leave on their own terms. Being a senator, there's the least amount of responsibility of anyone else in government, and being a senator is a big deal. You're treated almost like a president. It's a big deal. You don't have to work that much, and you only have to run for re-election every 6 years. And if you remember, she was trashing Pete Hegseth. She wanted that Secretary of Defense job like no one's business. Remember? And apparently, she was in the military and all of that, and she's a sex assault victim. And she said because of this allegation, which everybody knows Pete Hegseth didn't do that, a woman cheated on her husband and got caught and told her husband there was a sexual assault. Even the police in California didn't believe her, remember? And Joni Ernst, she made this big... Now, she eventually voted for the confirmation of Pete Hegseth, but she really wrote it hard and because she wanted to be Secretary of Defense. So why would someone leave the Senate to be Secretary? Someone like Marco Rubio left the Senate to be the Secretary of State. Secretary of State is a big deal. He's always right there to the right of the president. Big deal. And he plans on being president one day. So he's got... Joni Ernst isn't going to be president of anything, okay? She's got nowhere to go except probably becoming a paid pundit on one of the cable news, trashing Trump and MAGA Republicans for the rest of her days. Other than that, she has no political future. And the only reason she was going to leave the Senate and to become defense secretary is because she wanted to go out on a high note of getting this big job. I don't think there's been a female defense secretary, so that would have been a big deal in itself. But she knew then she wasn't going to get reelected. They're talking about replacements. They're all Trump-loyal MAGA Republicans that they're talking about replacing her with. So it's not like the district's gone dim. It's just MAGA Republicans are fed up with her and her crap. So good riddance to Joni Ernst. She won't be missed in the MAGA movement. I used to like her until she started trashing Pete Hegseth. over an allegation that everyone knew was complete BS. Now, this next story I want to touch on, there's a new poll that shows that Governor Cuomo could beat Zohan Mamdani. This is a poll. It's from CBS News. I did post this on X. I'm not going to read you the story. I'm just going to talk about it. There's a new poll showing that Cuomo would beat Mamdani if it's a two-way race between him and Mamdani. It would involve Mayor Adams and Curtis Sliwa dropping out. And I got to tell you something. I got a lot of respect for Curtis Sliwa. You know, he's an American legend and all that stuff. You know, Mayor Adams, that's another story, you know. But these guys, they might as well be working for Zohan, okay? If Curtis Sliwa thinks that he has any chance on becoming the mayor of New York City, he's not mentally fit to be the mayor of New York City, okay? It's just not going to happen. And it doesn't mean I don't like him or I don't respect him, because I do. But he's got no chance. And either does Adams. But with the poll, and you can go through all the poll, it's a very detailed poll, but not only would Governor Cuomo win, he'd win by 5 or 6 points if it was just him versus Mamdani. Okay? And the problem is that the Governor Cuomo and the other two are they're splitting the vote 3 ways, and that's it. And if they continue to split it, we're going to get this idiot who was marching with Martin Luther King Jr. the other day with some We Shall Overcome event. I don't know what that was about, but they had Sharpton there and everything. They're marching through the sidewalks thinking it's the 1960s. And I know a lot of people say, well, you know, Mayor Dinkins was a disaster. It'll wake up the New York. That's not, no, this is not Dinkins. This is a very dangerous guy, and he has no business being the mayor of anything, okay? But Curtis Sliwa, he's got to drop out, as does Mayor Adams, and we need a grown-up. And I don't like Governor Cuomo. I mean, I know what he's like. He's an animal. He's a monster. But we can't have this guy as mayor of New York, and he's the only one who can do it, according to the new poll, which shows him winning by 5-6 points in a 2-way race. And the problem is it's a 4-way race. That's the problem. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe, okay? And also make sure you click that notification bell. And if you don't mind, share this stream on all your socials if you don't mind that either. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.